I would love to hurt him and finish him and him out.
How was he punching? Was it hurting
Like
you?
a thunder. He punches like a mule kick. Unbelievable. Excuse my French, please. Oh, my God.
It's time!
You're listening to the Cage Nation TV Prizefight Podcast. Coming to you from the Coastal Cameron Studios in Wilmington, North Carolina.
Are you ready?
Here's your host, the big fella, Albert Cameron.
Let's get it on!
Thank you for joining us for the Prizefight Podcast. I'm your host, the big fella, Mr. Albert Cameron. And again, 2 weeks in a row, my favorite words in the English language. It's Fight Week. This weekend, going down at the Bayfront Convention Center in Erie, Pennsylvania, Bayfront Brawl number 3 is going down, and I couldn't be more excited. Tickets available right now at www.erieevents.com. Again, that is www.erieevents.com. Tickets still available, but you don't want to wait. I'm going to be breaking down 3 of the pro fights going down on the card this week on the Prizefight Podcast. 3 very good reasons why you need to be in attendance. Don't take it from me. Be there. Okay? These are the fights that matter, because we've talked about Bellator starting the free agent arms race. And now is a better time than any to start going to regional fights, because that is where Bellator and the UFC is going to be plucking these guys from. And we all want to be able to pat ourselves in the back and say, hey, I saw these guys fighting before they were stars. Before they were big deals, I saw those guys fighting. So we're going to be breaking down 3 of the big fights going down at Bayfront Brawl, number 3 in Erie, Pennsylvania. Don't go nowhere, friends. It's the Prizefight Podcast. Cage Nation TV would like to take a second and formally thank all of the businesses that have taken the time to sponsor a mixed martial artist or a boxer as they have trained to attain greatness. In the world of business, it can be looked at as an advertising expense to get your name out there. But did you know that your sponsorship dollars is actually keeping the American dream alive? Your help and support is actually changing the lives of aspiring athletes. Working hard and reaching for the brass ring is truly the great American story. We encourage all of our listeners and followers to support businesses that sponsor your favorite fighters. And thank you to those businesses for your continued support and encouragement. Welcome back to the Prizefight Podcast. Again, Bayfront Brawl number 3 going down at the Bayfront Convention Center in Erie, Pennsylvania. Tickets are available right now at erieevents.com. Again, www.erieevents.com. And it's a big card. I'm excited about it. I mean, I won't be there in attendance because I don't live in the Keystone City anymore. But, you know, it's certainly a big card, and I'll tell you exactly why I take notice. There are people that are associated with certain organizations that are just known for quality. The things they do, the fights they put together, they gather themselves a reputation of putting on really, really good fight cards. And you get excited about going to their events because you know that you have not been disappointed before. Zero chance you're going to be disappointed again. And as soon as I saw who the matchmaker was on Bayfront Brawl number 3, this one particular matchmaker has incredible proven track record of putting together some great fights. She's done work, of course, with Bayfront Brawl, some fight promotions out in Ohio, Pinnacle Fighting Championships. That was clue number 1. Hey, big guy, you need to get on this card. And as soon as I started looking into it, I wasn't disappointed. You know, that proven track record has gone on again. We're going to be taking a look at 3 fights here on the Prizefight Podcast. L.A. Hampton versus Jose Martinez, Dalton Brady versus Nikolai Gianti, which is one half of the co-main event. The other half, of course, being Jeremiah Yeager versus Zachary Cook. So we're going to start with L.A. Hampton versus Jose Martinez. Hampton is a Pittsburgh veteran. So we all know that my heart is near and dear to Pittsburgh. I firmly believe that those guys are forged in the steel that city was built on. Hampton's a Pittsburgh veteran. He had absolutely incredible bouts with some really big names. Brett Showtime Schoenfeld, Complete Devastation MMA welterweight champion, a Gladiators of the Cage welterweight contender, had an incredible bout with Zach Goebel. Jason the Whip Willett, easily one of the guys that Pittsburgh MMA was built on. The Whip and all the fractured guys, I mean, put in the sweat and the hard work to make Pittsburgh what it was. And L.A. Hampton had a bout with Joey the Hitman Holt. Holt was one of the last main eventers for Gladiators of the Cage before those doors closed. Just because MMA is not being promoted in the southern part of the state does not mean that the talent and the hard work and the skill has gone anywhere. These guys are finding new places to fight. They're going to go to Ohio. They're going to go to Erie. You know, these fighters are still ready to do the work. They're still ready to put it in. Based on Hampton's record, he prides himself on being a knockout artist. He will take time. He will plan strategy. and he will implement game plan to look for the knockout. He's good at it. Once that knockout lands, once that strike connects, if he's able to pull it off right, people go to sleep. There's two sides of that coin, though. If you spend a whole lot of time looking for a knockout, you're going to end up getting caught up in the other person's submission strategy. And you can't be like that, and Hampton's game has improved. So the day the Brawler is done, they're still exciting to watch. But the Brawler, like Hampton, they're evolving. They're becoming more cognizant that, hey, everyone's a brown belt at everything now. As much as I want to stand there and trade and really invoke the spirit of Tank Abbott, those days are gone. And Hampton's learning that. And that's why Hampton is still competing. That's why he's still active. That's why he drew Jose Martinez in a pro bout for Bayfront Brawl. Hampton is an 11-year veteran of the sport. So 2006, the Ultimate Fighter finale just went down. L.A. Hampton is getting into MMA. And that's 11 years. Think about everything that has gone down in the last 10 years in the entire wide world of mixed martial arts. We've had guys who are plucked from Pittsburgh, from Philly, from New Jersey, from New York, down here in the Carolinas. Right now is the perfect time for those guys who have been grinding over those last 10 years. They're getting ready to make their moves. There's no doubt in my mind that L.A. Hampton has a really good bout against Martinez and has a really good bout after that people are going to start taking notice because that's what is going on. I've said it time and time again. Bellator is starting a free agent arms race with the UFC. The UFC is going to have to start signing free agents to stay competitive, and who wins? We all win. Because they're going to go to regional fights like Bayfront Brawl, and they're going to start picking up these guys. Now, Jose Martinez, let's not overlook him at all. Martinez is just as much of a Pittsburgh veteran as L.A. Hampton. Martinez has scored wins over James Pfeiffer, Jeremy Sakuda, and Sean Felton between his amateur and pro career. Martinez has just as much of a proven KO record for KO stoppages. So what we have here, and this is why this fight drew my excitement right away. We had two guys who were ready to throw heavy leather. They're ready to stand toe-to-toe, trade fisticuffs with each other. Okay, think about that. You have L.A. Hampton, who prides himself on being a knockout artist. You have Jose Martinez, who has just as much knockout skill. Well, what happens? It's like when the immovable object meets the unstoppable force. Okay? It's easy to predict someone's going to lose consciousness. In a very safe way, because Pennsylvania is all about the fighter's safety. But someone is statistically going to lose consciousness. Now, the fight boils down to two almost identical fighters, both wanting victory. Martinez needs to keep a perfect record because he has one pro win, and Hampton's looking to swing winning momentum his way. The fight game is very finite in the way that someone has to win, someone has to lose. And that's part of the post-fight hangover, I guess you could call it, is that you get so built up for a fight, and then when it's all said and done, the fight's over. And you feel bummed out, you feel sad. Because these guys worked really, really hard to fight, and then once the fight is in the middle of it, we're excited, we're happy, this is awesome. But once the fight is over, well, then it's over. Be looking for a very explosive fight. So we have two knockout guys ready to throw leather, and the people who win are the fights in attendance at the Bayfront Convention Center. Tickets still available at www.erieevents.com. Again, www.erieevents.com. First half of the co-main event at Bayfront Brawl number 3 is Dalton Brady versus Nikolai Gianti. Dalton Brady has recently made his pro debut and has had really two tough pro fights out the gate. Now, Brady's amateur record is flawless with title fight experience. So we often say that an amateur career is not meant to be a precursor to how you're going to be successful. An amateur career is meant to find out, what you're made of, what you've been doing, where you dig down to find your fortitude. And Dalton Brady just happened to have an absolutely flawless amateur record. With that being said, when you have a flawless amateur record, you still have yet to be tested. So those first two pro fights were absolutely brutal for him. Absolutely tough. He drew two really, really tough guys. So Dalton Brady is on the fast track of learning a lot about himself on the pro stage. Brady is a proven submission artist, but he also has skills in his hands. So what you have is have a guy who's really good at stoppages. Yeah, having a good gas tank is good, but when you have stopping power, that's when you can call it a cheap thrill, but that's part of the excitement of the fight. Part of the thrill of the fight is two guys are trading hands. It could go the distance, or one guy could drop. or stop. I mean, that's what a submission says. I've given up the will to fight. I am done. This hurts too much. The pain has overwhelmed me. That is a submission. Brady has skills in his hands, though. I mean, so he's good at twisting the human anatomy in ways it should not twist, hyperextending joints, separating blood from the brain. He's good at it. He's very good at it. But he also has power in his hands. So if you take a guy who all of his wins are submission wins, okay, that's cool. That's great. But now you take a guy with submission wins and you add knockout wins. So, I mean, is he 33% more effective? Possibly. I mean, you think you have a guy with, 33% submission wins, 33% knockout wins, 33% decision wins, he'd be well-rounded. That's not to say that Dalton Brady isn't well-rounded. He has a tendency over the other. But I think a submission artist, when they have a tendency of submitting people, that's not a tell, it's a strength. And so you could say, okay, well, with a guy like Dalton Brady, I'm going to keep the fight standing. Well, no, hold on. Dalton Brady can also drop you. That's what makes for an exciting fight. Nicolai Gianti, debuting professional athlete. And if you know anything, if you followed Pennsylvania mixed martial arts, you know that debuting anything, whether it be a debuting Emmy or debuting pro, they fight like they're double parked. They fight like they have something to prove. They want to make the biggest splash, the biggest impression right out the gate. So Nicolai Gianti has it going on for him. Gianti's amateur record, also flawless, also a submission artist, also with skills in his hand. Yeah, think about that. Brady can submit you, well, so can Gianti. Well, Brady can drop you, so can Gianti. This fight could go the distance. What it's going to come down to is this fight is going to be a game of human chess, but it's going to have a little dynamite on it, a little pepper. Okay, if the fight stays standing, it can stop. If the fight goes to the ground, both men are absolute sharks, okay? Blood is in the water once this fight hits the ground, and both of these guys are great whites with submission skills. That's awesome. What I recommend you do, don't blink and watch closely. It's going to come down to one of a couple things. The guy who wants to win has to be more willing to finish the fight than the other. When you have a guy who is so identical, just like Martinez versus Hampton, when you have someone who's so identical, it's going to come down to an X factor, okay? Training. Did you train appropriately for this guy? Did you train to fight a guy who's just like yourself? Are you willing to look deeply at what your areas for improvement are, and are you willing to exploit that in another human being? Are you in your right headspace? Did you and your girlfriend fight before the fight? Did you have something going on? Is your head clear? Are you ready to go into that warrior mindset? There's a lot of intangibles that are going to go into it. What's going to happen is we don't know. And when a fight is that unpredictable, I mean, I could sit down and calculate the stats all I want, and it's going to come up 50-50. That's an exciting fight to watch. Because when someone who follows, fighting as closely as what we all do, if you can't identify a clear winner, anyone with a clear advantage, well, now there's intrigue. Now we don't know. Now it's a mystery. Can you pick who's going to win between Dalton Brady and Nicolai Gianti? I'm sure, people close to them, people who are involved in their training, absolutely. But, I mean, if you're looking at a fight poster and you see Dalton Brady versus Nicolai Gianti, who do you pick to win? Well, I'm not going to pick. Good luck to you, and if you have a pick, I'd like to know. Dalton Brady versus Nicolai Gianti, going down Bayfront Brawl number 3 in Erie, Pennsylvania at the Bayfront Convention Center. Tickets still available right now. Don't miss out on your opportunity to miss these fights. I'm excited about them. You need to be in attendance, my friends. Don't let no one steer you wrong. In the last half of the main event, we have Jeremiah Yeager versus Zach Cook. Yeager has been all over the circuit. A journeyman if I've ever seen one. And he's taking all comers. Jeremiah Yeager has little concern about what's the easy fight. He doesn't care. If it's an easy fight, why take it? He's looking to test himself against the best. The best test, we'll call it. He's looking to take the best test. Taking all the best fights he can. Jeremiah Yeager, of course, is a King of the Cage veteran who has amateur title win experience. King of the Cage, the number 3 promotion in all of North America. So UFC's obviously number 1. Bellator's number 2 because of their resources they have available to them. King of the Cage is number 3 because of longevity, because they were able to build something out of nothing. So Yeager, they don't just let anyone into King of the Cage. They don't. King of the Cage, you actually have to do a fair amount of proving yourself before you can get in. The King of the Cage has their own amateur division to try to cultivate that. So for Jeremiah to walk into King of the Cage, he had to have done something for himself. Yeager in Bayfront Brawl is undefeated. He fought at Bayfront Brawl number 2, he was victory. So Jeremiah Yeager has got winning momentum for Bayfront Brawl coming into his corner. And that's exciting. I'm happy for him. That is exciting. He drew Zach Cook. Okay? And historically, Yeager's strengths have been his submission skills and knockout power. So when the fight goes the distance, he doesn't come out so well, and he knows that. This is no mystery to anyone in the Jeremiah Yeager camp. So I'm telling you right now, I'm calling it. I'm saying Jeremiah Yeager is going to look to stop the fight early. He's going to go a little bit of head hunting. If the fight hits the mat, he's going to be looking to submit somebody. Zach Cook, his opponent, is to Ohio Valley, as Jeremiah Yeager is to Pittsburgh. Zach Cook has sought out just as many tough fights to sharpen himself. He has taken the best test every chance he could. Cook also has knockout power in his hands. He stopped Luke Ransbottom, he stopped Tim Boyle, and he also submitted Mike Williams in his pro career. Now, Cook's winning momentum is going to be coming from his submission skills. So if you compare the pro career and the amateur career, Zach Cook has a tremendous ground game. So when the fight hits the ground, Zach Cook knows exactly what to do. The game plan, okay? You've seen fights. You've seen fights where the fight hits the ground and the guy's like, oh no, what do I do? Do I hold on to this? Do I try to crank that? No. Zach Cook knows what he's doing when that fight hits the ground. Yeager is going to be looking for a knockout. So in the grand scheme of things, Jeremiah Yeager has knockout victories. Zach Cook has really good submission victories. Ladies and gentlemen, do you hear that? I do believe it's the making of the classic, the do or die, grappler versus striker situation. All three fights that I've mentioned today have more than just victories on the line. There are more than just, I might get a title shot down the line. Again, I will say it. North America is in for a talent raid, okay? No one's safe from Bellator or the UFC. They're going to start picking up guys, and they're going to start plucking them from regional promotions. And they're going to be plucking them from regional promotions like Bayfront Brawl. So if you're in attendance, you're going to be seeing the guys who are hitting the UFC and Bellator tomorrow. Okay, and those guys are likely to go on to other greater things. Who's to say that a fighter from Pittsburgh, from Philly, from Erie is not going to be the next one to get the next big title shot? Cody No Love Garbrandt, UFC bantamweight champion, has fought in the Ohio Valley just like Zach Cook, has fought in Pittsburgh just like Jeremiah Yeager. And where is he now? He is UFC bantamweight champion. And everyone who has ever seen Jeremiah Yeager fight, because Jeremiah Yeager's pro debut was against Dominic Mazzata. Mazzata fought Garbrandt. Garbrandt now beat Dominic Cruz. These fights matter. They have big national implications, my friends. And I'm not telling you to go to the fights for me. I already know they're going to be great fights. I'm telling you to go to these fights for you, because there's some big things in it for you. Bayfront Brawl number 3 going down May 20th at the Bayfront Convention Center in Erie, Pennsylvania. Tickets still available right now. www.erieevents.com. Again, www.erieevents.com. I'm telling you, friends, I've seen the writing on the wall. I know the people involved. These fights will not disappoint. And thank you very much to Bayfront Brawl for putting on these big fights, for really being the Western Pennsylvania life support that combat sports needs right now. Get out there, support Bayfront Brawl. Most importantly, thank you guys very much for listening to the Prizefight Podcast. We send much love out to you all for joining us. We also send a lot of love out to Bayfront Brawl for doing what they do. If you guys get a chance, click the like button, subscribe. We're bringing you all the news and content directly to you. All you got to do is sit back and be like, hey, Cage Nation TV, the original Cage Nation TV since 2013, put out something brand new, and all I got to do is click one thing, and it's all over. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, fights, Cameron, action.
Thank you for tuning in to the Cage Nation Prize Fight Podcast. All rights reserved. 2016 to 2017 Planet Erie Sports. The Prize Fight Podcast is part of the Cage Nation Broadcast Network. For more information, visit www.cagenationtv.com.